This is another video on request, and this is a multi-purpose video. In today's session, I'm going to discuss 3 important questions from the poem Crossing the Bar. Do watch the entire video and subscribe to our channel. Let's begin with question number 1. In crossing the bar, what does crossing mean? What is the bar which is to be crossed? What is the hope with which he will cross the bar? There are 3 subparts in question number 1. The meaning of crossing, the meaning of bar, and what is the hope with which the poet will cross the bar? Or appropriateness of the title. This answer is suitable for both these questions. Hence, a multi-purpose answer. 10 marks for this. Let's start reading the answer now. Tennyson's Crossing the Bar is a poem in which a speaker confronts the reality of impending death and finds a kind of peace in the thought of dying. This is the basic premise of the poem. This is the theme of the poem. The word crossing is a metaphor for the journey motive employed by the poet to give a description of a voyage. The introduction is important, and in the introduction itself, I have clearly associated my answer with the question. And what is the first part of the question? What does crossing mean? After giving a general thematic analysis of the poem, I have immediately shifted to the meaning of crossing. The word crossing is a metaphor for the journey motive. Underline this, journey motive. Employed by the poet, P-O-E-T, poet, to give a description of a voyage. Literally, the word crossing may mean a shift from a coastal area to a sea or ocean. Now, what is the meaning of the term literally? The word meaning, the simple word meaning is, it is a shift from a kind of movement from a coastal area to a sea or ocean. But symbolically, it is the soul's journey to the unknown land of death. This is the meaning of crossing. And I have mentioned that in the introduction itself, the first subpart is answered. Next, let's see the next paragraph. And then I have added another important feature of the meaning of this, of the symbolic meaning of the word crossing. Moreover, this important image of crossing is an important image. This important image of crossing suggests Christian connotation. This has Christian meaning, which is a transition into the Christian afterlife. So this is not just the soul's journey to the unknown land of death, but this is also a transition into the Christian afterlife. What is afterlife? Life after death. Dear students, we have easy explanation videos. So do check the pinned comment section or the description box for all important video links. Next, what is the second subpart? Meaning of the bar that is to be crossed. A sandbar is a ridge of sand built by currents along a shore. Tennyson uses the metaphor of a sandbar to describe the barrier between life and death. The symbolic significance of bar, it is a boundary, a barrier between life and death. Thus, the word bar here means the sandbar, a structure that forms a kind of barrier between the water inside, the river water, and outside it, the sea or ocean. This is the meaning, the word meaning of bar. It is a geographical structure. But what is the symbolic meaning of the word bar? It symbolizes death. Very, very important. It symbolizes death with the water inside representing his life and the water beyond representing the afterlife. Now, students, again, just observe the logical coherence in my presentation of the answer. There are subparts and I'm answering each and every section one by one, but I'm connecting each and every part so that there is a logical coherence in my presentation. As students of class 12, you must achieve this logical coherence. And this is also about the appropriateness of the title. Here I have added this section. The title, Crossing the Bar. Now, as a whole, Crossing the Bar is appropriate as the entire poem is an extended metaphor. Not just a metaphor, but the whole poem is an extended metaphor. For what? Let's read. Setting sail on a voyage. I have already discussed that this is a voyage. Setting sail on a voyage is the journey after death to the afterlife. The poet wants to put out to sea without the mourning of the bar and sadness of farewell. Two quotations. So incorporate short quotations and justify one point after the other. Avoid repetition. After this, I will answer the third section, and that is the hope. What is the hope with which he will cross the bar? And crossing the bar, we know, is death. And moving into life after death, that is afterlife. So what is the hope? Here there is a hope. You will need to mention that hope here in the third subpart. The poet will cross the bar quietly with the hope. This word automatically links this answer to the question and the examiner will be impressed. The poet will cross the bar quietly with the hope that there is no fear, sadness or pain when he dies. Use words from the question in your answer. So these are little tricks which, if you follow, will fetch you good marks. He does not see death as a true end but as a part of God's plan. Death is inevitable. Inevitability of death. Death will overpower every mortal human being. So you cannot escape death. We all cannot escape death. Death is inevitable. Learn this new term. Inevitable or inevitability of death. Death is inevitable and it is designed by God who has people's best interests in mind. He acknowledges that death means going somewhere from the earthly realm, which metaphorically means that he is returning to the eternal realm from which they came. So we are born from ashes and after death we'll return to ashes. We'll return to the eternity. This principle has been highlighted in the poem. This journey from the earthly to the spiritual realm, this belief in God, God's goodness, this journey from the earthly to the spiritual realm is something to hope for. Again, I have used the word hope. Only through dying, people can meet their pilot, the Christian God. The poet hopes to know God through death, to look at God face to face, a quotation. Death brings with it a new kind of knowledge and experience unknown to living beings, and it is known through the soul which is eternal. The title, summing up, the title thus provides solace, comfort. Death brings with it not an end but a new beginning. Referring closely to Crossing the Bar, show how Tennyson used images of nature to bring out the theme of the poem, or symbols, images. Again, a multi-purpose answer. The poem Crossing the Bar is a statement of calm acceptance in the face of imminent death. As discussed, death is inevitable and this poem is about calm acceptance in the face of imminent death. This is the theme, and in the introductory statement itself, I have mentioned the theme. I've just started directly linking my introduction to the question. The poet confronts the reality of inevitability of death and is not scared of it. The theme, the first theme. The second theme, old age, is another theme of this poem, and all the images and symbols are associated with these themes. Tennyson uses images of nature to bring out these themes. As discussed a little while ago, use words from the question to make your answer more convincing. Change paragraphs. This is a 5 marks answer. The poet notices the sunset and evening star in the sky, metaphorically suggesting the end of life. So this is the first symbol, the first image, sunset and evening star in the sky. He wrote the poem when he was 80 years old, and these visual images suggest old age, the theme. Twilight, another visual imagery, stands for the gathering darkness leading to death. Look how I have picked up one image and I have discussed it, and I have then moved on to the next image, one at a time. A sandbar. So again, an image from nature. A sandbar is a geographical structure which is used as a metaphor for the barrier between life and death. The aged poet wants to put out to sea without the moaning of the bar. What is the meaning of this? Moaning of the bar? Auditory imagery. He wants his death to be smooth, like a calm sea wave which is too full for sound and foam. He hopes his death will be silent and smooth. In this way, you must explain each and every point. The boundless deep here apparently stands for the sea or ocean, and in an allegorical sense to the place the poet believes he will go after his death. He says that he'll go beyond the boundaries of time and place, and the flood of death will carry him far away to an unknown eternity. The poet highlights his belief in afterlife. The night is approaching and dark symbolizes death. The image of crossing the bar is symbolic of the smooth transition of the soul into afterlife. The entire poem is an extended metaphor for this journey into a new beginning leading to a reunion with God. So since this is a 5 marks answer, I have limited its length and have ended with an appropriate conclusion. Start with an introduction and write a proper conclusion. This is another trick to score well. After this, let's move on to the third question. What is the clear call in crossing the bar, and what is the tone of the poem? Or is this poem an elegy? 5 marks once again. Tennyson's Crossing the Bar, which is a metaphorical meditation on death. This poem is about death. Tennyson's Crossing the Bar, which is a metaphorical meditation on death, opens with the poet hearing a sound calling for him loud and clear. The introductory statement again linked to the question, the first subpart. This auditory imagery, again another important point, highlights the journey motive. Setting sail is the journey of the soul after death to the afterlife. This is my introduction, and it is a simple yet powerful introduction. Next, I have changed the paragraph. The poet wrote this poem when he was 80 years old, 3 years before he died. Death is inevitable in old age, and when the call of death comes, one has to go. Again, I have linked the theme with the meaning of clear call? I have tried to answer this question as briefly as possible, strictly sticking to what has been asked by the examiner. So death is inevitable, and when the call of death, so this is the call of death, when this comes, one has to go. He confronts the reality of imminent death with one clear call. Everything is related to the question, the first subpart, and now the tone of the poem, the second subpart. I have again changed the paragraph. The poem is an elegy. Throughout the poem, there are many images like sunset, evening star, twilight, the dark, that metaphorically stand for the poet's advancing age and impending death. Now, what is an elegy? A poem that laments the loss of something, laments the end of something, or the death of somebody. Here we have the advancing age of the poet, and we also have his impending death, and there are innumerable images that are related to these themes. Hence, the tone of elegy. Hence, this poem is an elegy. The imagery is associated with death. However, there is a slight twist. However, the poem ends on a hopeful note. Though dying means going somewhere very far away from the earthly realm, it is perceived as the return of the soul to the eternal realm from which it originated. Death is eternal separation from one's earthly existence, but there is hope. There is elegy, an elegiac tone, but there is a tone of hope also in this poem. Mention this if you get such a question. This journey is designed by God. And why is there hope? Because this journey is designed by God, and the transition from the earthly to the spiritual realm is something to look forward to. Through dying, people can meet their pilot, the Christian God. Thus, summing up, the tone of the poem is one of very, very important, learn this, one of resigned submission to God's will and calm acceptance in the face of imminent death. Learn these lines. He does not want a sadness of farewell when he puts out to sea, marking not an end but a new beginning. This is your answer.